Alright, what's going on, you guys? Brian back here with another recap video. This time recapping last night's NXT and AEW Dynamite episodes. Of course, I'm going to start off with AEW Dynamite because last night's episode was the go-home show before this Saturday's Revolution event, where in the main event it will be Chris Jericho defending the AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley. Also, the Tag Team Championships will be decided on Saturday, as it will be Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defending against the Young Bucks. The Women's Championship will be decided, plus a whole bunch more on Saturday, and I will probably have a predictions video up sometime tomorrow. So to give my predictions who I think is going to win. But we start off with AEW Dynamite. I didn't watch it live yesterday. I actually watched it today, as well as NXT. And because I actually watched it after the awful, or not awful, but not very exciting Super Showdown that happened today for WWE. But on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, as I mentioned, the build up to that show, we found out another match, or a couple of matches signed for Saturday's Revolution event. We started off the show with the 30-minute Iron Man match between Kenny Omega and Pac. This one was really good. I would recommend checking it out. If you guys did not watch last night's episode, I would recommend checking this match out. I thought it was a really good match. The rubber match in the series. Omega picked up the win in overtime. He won it 2-1 because it ended up the 30-minute time limit had expired with both men having a win apiece, one win apiece, and then the ring announcer Justin Roberts had found out that the match was going to continue as sudden death. So Omega picked up the win in the sudden death with the one-winged angel to finally put down Pac. Afterwards, during an interview with Tony Schiavone, where Tony asked Pac how he felt about coming up short in that match, Orange Cassidy would come out and confront Pac, and Pac would end up laying out Orange Cassidy. So, and we found out a little bit later on that on Saturday, those two will go one-on-one in Orange Cassidy's first AEW one-on-one match, as it will be Pac versus Orange Cassidy at Revolution. So that is a huge match, to say the least, to happen Saturday. We had the Inner Circles, Sammy Guevara and Santana and Ortiz. They were in six-man tag team action against Jurassic Express of Marco Stunt, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. And Jurassic Express, with a little bit of help from Darby Allin, picked up the win over the Inner Circle. One note on this matchup, and I saw this on social media, that somebody actually made reference that the Inner Circle, when Guevara, Ortiz, and Santana were making their way out, that their theme song sounded a lot like the Evolution theme song, as far as the music is concerned. So I actually listened to it, and I'm like, the beginning kind of sounded like the way Evolution's WWE theme song went. So I thought that was pretty interesting. In this episode from last night for Dynamite, we heard from the Dark Order, who announced that they're going to be facing SCU on Saturday, and that match will happen on the buy-in, which is their pre-show. So that is a huge matchup for that one, for that event. The Best Friends, they picked up the win in tag team action over the Butcher and the Blade. This came about because of what happened last week in the Battle Royal. We had a sit-down interview involving the participants of Saturday's tag team title match, the Young Bucks and the champions Omega and Hangman Adam Page. This was a sit-down interview that Jim Ross had conducted a bit, I think, earlier in the day. And there was a lot of tension in this one, in this interview, especially as it pertained to the Bucks and their feeling about Hangman Adam Page. So that added a little bit more fuel to that already heated matchup coming up on Saturday between those two teams. There was a video package about the rivalry between MJF and Cody, which I thought was a really great video showing the events leading up to this Saturday's big match between those two. We had a four-way matchup involving the women, or some of the women of AEW. It was Yuka Sakazaki, Big Swole, Shanna, and Hikaru Shida. And Hikaru Shida picked up the win in that one, trying to build as far as her positioning in the rankings in the AEW women's division. Of course, this Saturday, Nyla Rose will make her first title defense against Chris Statlander at Revolution. And then we had the AEW World Title weigh-in, which I found interesting because there are no weight classes. I mean, there's a women's division, there's a men's heavyweight division, there's a tag team division, but there's no weight class. Between the AEW World Champion Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this video, these two will battle it out for Jericho's AEW World Title on Saturday at Revolution. Basically, Jericho tried halting the weigh-ins. It would lead to a brawl where Moxley would headbutt Jericho. The other members of Inner Circle would get involved. Dustin Rhodes would come out and go after Jake Hager. Of course, those two are going to fight on Saturday. Darby Allin would come out, and it would come down to where Moxley was going to hit the paradigm shift on Jericho, but I believe it was I think it was either Ortiz or Santana made the save, and Jericho wound up hitting the paradigm shift on Moxley on the scale that they had in the middle of the ring. Jericho was, because of the headbutt he received from Moxley, was busted open a little bit, would require 7 stitches to close the wound. So obviously with everything that went down last night, that adds fuel to an already heated rivalry between two of AEW's top stars as it pertains to AEW's top prize, the world title, on Saturday. Now over on NXT, we had Dominik Dijakovic losing to Cameron Grimes because of interference by Damian Priest. Of course, Dijakovic beat Damian Priest in his road to the NXT North American Championship opportunity he had at NXT TakeOver Portland. We had Xia Li taking on Mia Yim. Li would defeat Yim due to the distraction of Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Afterwards, Gonzalez would leave Mia Yim laying, and then that was pretty much it for that. Tommaso Ciampa, he defeated Austin Theory. Johnny Gargano would come out after the match, and with a little bit of help from Austin Theory, would leave Ciampa laying, obviously continuing off of what happened at TakeOver Portland, where Gargano cost Ciampa his opportunity to gain back the NXT Championship against Adam Cole. Bronson Reed lost to Killian Dane. The Grizzled Young Veterans, they defeated the Forgotten Sons in tag team action. We found out that next week there's going to be not one but two steel cage matches, one involving Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox, but the second one is going to be Velveteen Dream versus Roderick Strong, so that should be huge. William Regal, the general manager of NXT, announced that starting next week there's going to be a series of qualifying matches, with the winners moving on to NXT TakeOver Tampa to compete in a ladder match, with the winner of that one becoming the #1 contender to the NXT Women's Championship. Then in the main event, it was Bianca Belair challenging Charlotte Flair. Of course, Charlotte has a huge opportunity and basically a huge opportunity, as she will face Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania. However, Bianca Belair wanted a piece of Charlotte Flair after what Charlotte did to her at TakeOver Portland. Charlotte Flair wound up getting the victory in this one. After the match, she would go after Belair, putting a steel chair on her leg and stomping on it, and then locking in the figure 8 until Rhea Ripley, who I found funny, kind of took her time to do her posing and stuff when she was making her entrance, instead of going down to the ring to try to save Belair. I know they're enemies, but you would think that she would have went down there a little bit more faster, but it is what it is. So that was pretty much it for NXT. So both shows I thought were really good. AEW was reported, Dynamite reportedly defeated once again NXT in the ratings. However, both shows I thought did really well. So this has been my AEW Dynamite and NXT recap for last night's episodes for both shows. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.